Revealed, 7 spine-chilling police encounters with bone-chilling secrets no one should uncover. Officer Jamie Torres had heard the whispers around town. Maplewood was a picture-perfect suburban oasis, quaint homes, manicured lawns, and smiling faces. But behind that facade, darkness lurked, echoing tales of unsolved disappearances that sent shivers down the spine of anyone brave enough to remember. As a 28-year-old cop, Jamie wore her badge with pride, embodying the classic American values of hard work and integrity. Yet, the air felt different tonight, electric and foreboding, a crackle like static before a storm. Another one, the radio crackled, piercing through her thoughts. A fellow officer was reported missing. Jamie's heart raced. This was not just another case, it was personal. She felt the familiar tremor creep into her hands, a signal that she could no longer ignore the forbidding shadows that had begun to loom over Maplewood. The town hall meeting that followed was like stepping into a tense arena. Rows of chairs were filled with anxious faces, all weary from secrets buried too deep. As Jamie stood, her voice a beacon of reason amid fear, she could see doubt etched on her neighbors' faces. Bob, her old high school math teacher, shifted uncomfortably. Mrs. Davis, who always baked cookies for the precinct, looked ready to bolt. "We have to dig deeper," Jamie urged, her heart pounding in sync with the murmurs around her. "Why dig up old bones?" someone shouted, the words snapping through the crowd like a whip. Tension thickened the air. The silence that followed was heavy, and Jamie's resolve wavered for a moment. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The hatchet was buried deep, and the whispers of the past echoed in Jamie's head as she reconnected with childhood friends Angela, Marco, and Lily. Each one had their own weight to bear, their own fears binding them tightly as they embarked on this dark quest. They spoke of old legends, ritualistic gatherings held in the dead of night, hidden beneath Maplewood's pristine surface. Stories of an old church on the outskirts of town loomed, larger homes nearly forgotten, where secrets were whispered and ties to the cult thrived. As they ventured to the abandoned church, every shadow seemed to reach out, the air thick with dread. The doors creaked open, revealing walls etched with symbols that twisted and warped in the fading light. This can't be real," Marco stammered, his voice barely a whisper. Their eyes flickered over the dismal imagery, eerily feeling the weight of generations staring back at them. Deep roots, terrible legends, and bloodlines tangled with ancient practices shone like a spotlight on their fears. When Angela confessed her own family's connection to the cult, Jamie felt her chest tighten. The strength of those bonds can fracture under scrutiny, and it dawned on her that the real battle was not merely against the cult, but against the ghosts that haunted their hearts. Each ghost threatened to unravel their friendships as they ventured deeper into the darkness of hidden truths. As Jamie and her friends began to uncover the cult's plans, a mix of insidious rituals and horrifying intentions, the night vibrated with a palpable energy, a stark reminder that the true darkness was just in the room, but also within themselves. They prepared to confront whatever awaited them. As a rare lunar eclipse approached, a chilling question hung heavily in the air: would they emerge victorious, or would they fall victim to the very fears that bound Maplewood? Together. A shiver ran down Jamie's spine as the weight of those faces closed in around her. Shadows swayed with the flickering light of her cell phone, casting ominous figures on the crumbling walls of the old church. Each symbol was laced with menace, every whisper of the past a cruel reminder of what Maplewood had concealed for too long. The air hung heavy, choked with the essence of eerie anticipation. This was no longer just a casual exploration, it was an awakening. "What do we do now?" Lily's voice quivered, barely above a whisper. Her eyes darted nervously, searching for comfort in her friends' faces. "First, we stick together," Jamie replied, clenching her fists to keep her trembling fingers still. "Whatever they want to hide, we have the right to know." As the group moved further inside, the atmosphere thickened like fog, wrapping around them, making it hard to breathe. Marco reached out, tracing his fingers over one of the symbols carved in the wall. "This looks like a pentagram," he said, his brow furrowing. "Isn't that a sign of stop?" Jamie interrupted. "Let us not jump to conclusions." But her heart raced with each word she said. The ground beneath her feet felt softer, like it would swallow her whole if she let doubt creep in. They had to push on, had to uncover the truth before fear consumed them. Angela, standing at the forefront, froze. Her hand shot up to her mouth, eyes wide. "Do you hear that?" A low rumble echoed from deep within the church, like a distant growl, but sharper, more urgent. The noise twisted and wound around them, sending the group tumbling back a step. Jamie felt the pulse of her heart hammering in her chest, the sound of it drowning out any semblance of rational thought. What had they stumbled upon? "Maybe we should leave." Marco's suggestion faltered as a shadow danced just beyond their line of sight, shifting in the dark. "No," Jamie's resolve hardened. "If we walk away now, we're never coming back. We can't let whatever this is take another life." Swallowing hard, Jamie tried to calm the rapid beating of her heart. Her voice was steady as she urged them forward. "We need to find the source of that noise." With each cautious step, they made their way deeper into the church. The air grew colder, a dire warning whispering against their skin. They approached a roped-off area where the floor dipped slightly, revealing a hidden staircase leading below. The sound swelled again, reverberating off the walls, shaking their very core. "Should we go down?" Angela asked, her voice a shaky whisper. "It's the only way to find out what's really going on," Jamie insisted, feeling a swell of fear and excitement thrumming through her. It was a chance to break through the lies, to reveal the darkness that had shrouded Maplewood for decades. As they stepped toward the stairs, a sudden crash echoed through the church. Heavy footsteps pounded against the floor above them, sending the group into a startled silence. The darkness of the staircase loomed, inviting yet threatening. Jamie's gut twisted with panic, but she pressed on. "Everyone, stay close," Jamie instructed, her voice firm as she took the lead. The moment they began their descent, the deep growl from earlier intensified, vibrating against the stone walls like a warning. Just as they reached the bottom, a flicker of light caught Jamie's attention, a cold, blue gleam in the distance. She squinted, straining to see what lay ahead. And then she felt it, the unmistakable presence of eyes watching them, a sinister watchfulness that chilled her to the bone. A voice, low and raspy, slithered through the darkness. "You shouldn't have come here." Every hair on Jamie's body stood on end as she turned to her friends, their eyes wide with terror. What had they uncovered? A truth too dark to face, or a secret that went deeper still? As they prepared to confront the source of that haunting voice, Jamie heard a click, a sound that froze her in place. "Run!" she shouted, pushing her friends ahead of her, already knowing the predator had claimed its next target. Now, their only chance was to escape the clutches of whatever awaited them. But who would be left standing by the time they reached the door? The echo of Jamie's scream sliced through the oppressive air like a blade. Adrenaline surged as the group bolted down the narrow corridor, their hearts pounding in a chaotic rhythm. The cold light from Jamie's phone flickered, illuminating patches of damp stone and creeping shadows that seemed to stretch with ominous intent. "Where do we go?" Lily gasped, her voice tight with fright. "Just keep running," Jamie yelled, her voice strained but urgent. She turned a corner, instinct taking over, feeling the weight of darkness pressing in from behind. The growl intensified, morphing into a roar that rattled the walls. It chased them, a relentless specter breathing down their necks. Jamie pushed herself faster, her legs screaming from exertion as fear coursed through her veins like ice. The light flickered again, casting elongated figures that danced grotesquely, twisting in the palpable panic that enveloped them. As they hurtled forward, Marco collided with a hidden wall, stumbling back as he grasped at his arm. "I'm stuck," he shouted, his voice cracking. "No." Jamie's heart twisted at the sight of her friend in danger. We have to help him. The sound of footsteps heavy, deliberate reverberated behind them. Instinct took over, and Jamie grabbed Marco, pulling him forcefully as they regrouped. We can't slow down. Angela's eyes darted frantically. There's got to be another way out. They darted into a small alcove, breathless and desperate. The growling paused, enveloped in a silence that felt more sinister than the chase. Why did it stop? Marco wheezed, his eyes wide, reflecting the dim light. The air was thick, laden with fear, and something shifted in the dark. It felt alive. Jamie strained to hear any hint of movement or direction, but the stillness loomed large, an unwelcome blanket that weighed heavy on their chests. I don't know, but we can't stay here, Jamie whispered, glancing at each of her friends. Fear mirrored her own in their eyes, but behind it lingered a spark of determination. Look! Lily pointed toward a shaft of light peeking through a crevice. Can we fit through there? Angela asked, urgency threading her voice. It's our best chance, Jamie decided, her heart pounding anew. They scrambled toward the light, squeezing through the narrow opening, minds racing with every sound surrounding them. As they pushed through, the light enveloped them, a blinding contrast to the darkness they had escaped. They tumbled forward, landing hard on grass. The cool air washed over them, easing some of the fear but not all the questions. Where are we? Marco said, blinking rapidly as he regained his bearings. Jamie looked around. They were outside the church, in a wooded area that felt strangely familiar, yet foreign. The silhouettes of trees stood like sentinels in the fading light. Panic was still alive in the air, sharpening their senses. Did we escape? Lily asked, disbelief lingering in her tone. We might have evaded it, but we're not safe yet, Jamie replied, scanning the shadows. What was that voice? What did it mean? Just then, a flicker of movement caught her eye, the familiar figure of a cloaked figure emerging from the trees, eyes gleaming like two burning coals. Run! Jamie shouted, her heart racing anew as they sprinted deeper into the forest, the sounds of pursuit echoing behind them. Why are they here? Marco yelled, dread bleeding into every word. It's connected to what's hidden in the church. Jamie cried. We need to find out what they want. But as they raced further into the night, the questions unfurled, demanding answers. Were they running toward safety or deeper into the danger that awaited? And with every breath, the growing uncertainty twisted around them, whispering secrets that begged to be uncovered. But what if the truth they sought was darker than they had ever imagined? The forest swallowed them. Shadows clawed at their backs as the group sprinted through the underbrush, each footfall muffled by the damp earth. A chorus of breathing filled the air, harsh and frantic, outpacing their panic. Did you see its eyes? Marco gasped as they weaved through tall trees. They were. Don't think about it. Jamie interrupted, her heart racing and thoughts intermingling with fear. Focus on getting away. Lily stumbled on a root, her ankle twisting at an unnatural angle. She let out a sharp cry but quickly forced herself up, tears glimmering as she fought back the pain. I'm fine. Just keep moving. They plunged deeper into the darkening woods, the air thick with unease. Jamie dared a glance over her shoulder, her breath hitching when she spotted the cloaked figure gliding through the trees, a specter in pursuit. Faster! She urged, the words spilling out in a desperate rush. Branches cracked underfoot as Marco struggled to keep pace. We can't just keep running. We need a plan. There's no time. Jamie cried. Yet doubt crawled into her heart. What could they even plan against something that seemed like a nightmare come to life? Then a faint glow emerged ahead, a small hut, its windows dimly lit from within. Just as they neared, a chilling howl echoed through the trees, vibrating in their bones. They exchanged glances, terror coursing through their veins. Should we check it out? Angela suggested tentatively. What choice do we have? Jamie replied, glancing nervously behind them. We can't go back. They approached the hut carefully, their senses heightened to every sound, every shift in the air. Frogs croaked, insects buzzed, but the haunting howl was closer now, a reminder of the danger that stalked them. Lily peeked through a dirty window. Her breath hitched. "I see something." "What is it?" Jamie whispered desperately, needing to know. "It's a table, and there are books. A lantern. I can't make it out." "We could use the light," Marco said, swallowing hard. His anxiety mixed with a strange curiosity to know what secrets the hut held. They pushed open the creaky door, its rusty moans punctuating the deadened silence. Inside, the smell of damp wood and age filled the air. Dust clung to the corners like forgotten memories. Their hearts thudded in unison as Jamie moved cautiously, reaching for the lantern on the table. The moment she lit it, shadows flickered, revealing ink-stained pages stacked high. She picked up one, the cover worn yet ornate. The title sent a chill through her. The Secrets of the Church. Is this what we need?" Jamie wondered aloud, glancing back at her friends. Marco squinted at the pages. "It looks like something from an old ritual. They could be summoning something." Lily clutched her arm, her face pale. "Then what if we're meant to stop it?" Memories of the church flooded back, sudden whispers, voices rising in chant. The same hair-raising growl they had heard earlier thrummed in the distance, amplifying their fear. "Maybe if we learn about the connection, we can figure out how to protect ourselves," Angela suggested, her voice gaining strength. As they sifted through pages, uncovering tales of old rites and mysteries long buried, the growl from outside intensified, clawing at the walls of the hut. Through the dim glow of the lantern, Jamie turned a page revealing an illustration that made her blood run cold, an image of a cloaked figure, identical to the creature pursuing them, performing a sacrifice. Below it, an inscription pulled at her thoughts: "The truth shall be your only refuge, but be warned, the deeper you dig, the more you awaken." "What does that mean?" Marco's voice trembled. Before Jamie could answer, a loud crash erupted from outside. The door rattled in its frame, forcing their breaths to quicken as dread slithered back. "Go! We have to get moving!" Jamie yelled, but her voice sounded defeated against the encroaching terror. As they turned, the door burst open, throwing splinters everywhere. A gust of wind howled through the hut, extinguishing the lantern. In the dark, the growl became deafening, an ominous prelude to chaos. Fumbling, they huddled against the wall, hearts pounding like war drums. But as their eyes adjusted, they saw it, the cloaked figure standing in the doorway, glistening eyes locked onto them with predatory intent. "Why have you come?" it whispered, voice smooth yet menacing. As silence swallowed the space, Jamie felt ice creep into her veins. "What do you want?" she managed, her voice faltering. "Knowledge," the figure replied with a smile that chilled her to the bone. And in that moment, they understood they were not the hunters, they were the hunted. But could they uncover the church's secrets in time to save themselves, or would they awaken something far worse? With questions boiling like a storm, the night deepened, and the hunt was far from over. The figure stepped forward, its presence swallowing the dimness of the room. Jamie's heart pounded in her chest like a trapped animal, frantic and desperate for escape. The shadows seemed to stretch around them, pulling tighter, squeezing every ounce of hope from the air. "Knowledge?" Jamie croaked out, her voice sounding so small against the enormity of their situation. "What kind of knowledge?" The creature let out a low chuckle that echoed in the cramped space, reverberating through every pore of her skin. "The kind that binds souls, the kind that can free you from your fears," it whispered, stepping closer. "Just let us go," Marco shouted, his voice shaking. "We're not here to bind anything. We just want to leave." The figure paused, tilting its head as if pondering his words. "Leave?" It seemed to savor the word. "Ah, but once you've tasted forbidden knowledge, leaving is but a distant thought." Its glistening eyes reflected the flickers of memory and torment. Lily backed up, bumping into the wall, panic creeping into her expression. What if we do want to know?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper, capturing the element of desperation. Curiosity is a double-edged sword, the figure hissed, its voice rising with fervor. The silence that followed was thick, each breath heavy with weight and dread. Jamie's mind raced. Could the secrets of the church truly be the key to fighting this entity? Please, Angela managed to speak, her voice hoarse. We heard things. We want to help. The creature's expression shifted, turning from dark amusement to an unsettling seriousness. Help is not what you seek. The church holds ancient rites, long buried and forgotten. Awaken them, and you will find more than you bargained for. It can't be more than this. Marco breathed out, frustration and fear merging into a single keening cry. Ah, my dear boy, the figure sighed, a hint of pity nestled within the dark undertones. Bravery is often just the cloak of folly. It took another step, and they collectively held their breath, waiting for the sharp edges of the moment to cleave their resolve. In the shadows behind the cloaked figure, a strange shimmer flickered into view, forming patterns of symbols they couldn't comprehend, swirling together like smoke. Words floated into Jamie's mind, turning over her thoughts. The deeper you dig, the more you awaken. Wait. Jamie took a shaky step forward, emboldened by a sudden surge of resolve. What if we deepen our understanding just a little? We could bargain. The figure paused, its smile wide and unsettling. A bargain, you have something to offer. I don't know, she stammered, scrambling to think as fear prickled at her spine. But we could learn, could understand the truth behind the rituals. Maybe we can even stop the entity. It interrupted, voice drumming through the air like a melody of mockery. There is no stopping what is already set in motion, child. You are mere players in a game far beyond your understanding. The wind outside howled again, sending a shiver through the hut-s structure, rattling the windows and deepening the shadows around them. They were ensnared in a web of fear and ancient, unknowable truths. A burst of desperation flared in Jamie's heart. We're here now. We can't turn back. You've thought about it. If you're truly as powerful as you seem, you must know I'm not afraid of what might come next. The figure straightened, amusement glistening in its gaze. Then let us see, shall we? Before Jamie had time to react, the walls trembled as the symbols behind the cloaked entity began to pulse with a bright light. It wrapped around them like chains, whisking them further into the abyss of forgotten shadows and secret knowledge. Brace yourselves, the figure warned, its demeanor serious, yet glinting with an unfamiliar excitement. What you will find next may shatter your minds. As the light surged towards them, Jamie's heart raced. What awaited them beyond this threshold? Could they truly uncover the secrets of the church, or had they sealed their doom? The walls began to close in, and in their last moment of darkness, Jamie stole a glance at her friends. Would their bond be enough to face whatever lay ahead? The bright light blinded them, and all they had known began to fade. But as Jamie felt the ground shift beneath her feet, she wondered if they were stepping toward salvation or summoning something far more sinister. What awaited them in the depths of the unearthly rituals? Light engulfed them, blinding and overwhelming. Jamie felt her body weightless, suspended in an endless void. Dread coiled tight in her chest. She had chosen to bargain. But at what cost? With a jolt, the world snapped into focus. They stood in a cavernous space, stone walls slick with moisture that reflected a faint, eerie glow. Shadows danced around them, weaving in and out of existence, teasing at the edges of her vision. Jamie blinked and rubbed her eyes, the brightness still lingering like a ghost. Where are we? Marco's voice quivered, barely a whisper. His face was pale, eyes wide as he searched the darkness. Lily shook her head, a confused look on her face. This isn't what I expected. It's just a trick, Angela reassured her, though her hands trembled. It has to be. The figure loomed before them, draped in shadow, its presence an unsettling mixture of power and menace. The light glimmered off its features, revealing nothing but darkness. Welcome to the shadows of truth, it declared, voice thick with ancient authority. Here, you will confront the very essence of your being. Jamie swallowed hard. What does that mean? Fear binds you, it said, gesturing to the void around them. But you will confront your fears, your darkest secrets, and the truth behind the Church's rites. A frantic pulse thudded in her ears. We didn't agree to this. The figure met her gaze, its eyes burning with an intensity that seemed to reach inside her and grip her heart. You crave knowledge, Jamie. Knowledge awakens the darkness. Now, you must pay the price. The shadows swirled closer, shifting like a living thing, invading her space. Jamie's throat went dry. She felt a tug in her mind, a whispering echo of thoughts she had long buried, dredging up insecurities and regrets. Could they truly confront everything they had hidden? In that moment, a stunning clarity washed over her. This is what you want? To force us to see our failures? She felt a heat rise in her chest, igniting a spark of rage. No. We won't let you control us. The creature's laughter was sharp, like cracking glass. Ah, defiance. A sweet poison indeed. It extended a hand, but instead of a hand, a creeping shadow shot forward, coiling around Marco's ankle like a slithering serpent. No. Jamie screamed, reaching out, desperate to pull him free. Lily gasped. What do we do? Fight it. Angela cried, her voice fierce, rallying around their fear. We know who we are. We can't give in. Marco struggled, panic lacing his features. I can feel it, it's pulling me down. At that moment, Jamie remembered the bond they shared. Together. She screamed, forcing herself into the dark, clinging to her friends. We're stronger than this. In an act of sheer will, they lowered their heads, breaking the tight grip of fear and leaning into each other. The warmth of their unity surged forth, and Jamie could feel something shift. The shadows recoiled, retreating with an angry hiss, but not completely. You may resist, the figure growled, its tone a mix of wrath and intrigue. But the shadows will hold your truths, no matter the light you think you possess. Jamie felt a flood of warmth radiating from their clasped hands, overpowering the darkness that still encroached. Together, she urged again, pouring everything she had into the connection. As they joined forces, a blinding light erupted from their embrace, a shield that pushed back against the shadows. In that split second, secrets swirled around them like confetti in a storm, fragments of their pasts mixing together fear, regret, and sorrow. Then, the world around them shook violently, the cavern yawning wide, revealing endless depths below. A swirling abyss stretched before them, whispering promises of power, knowledge, and despair. Do you truly know your hearts? The figure's voice echoed, tougher than stone, challenging yet seductive. Awaken the truth or be swallowed by the depths of your souls. Stay or leap. The decision loomed as they stood on the cusp of revelation, knowing they might uncover not just truths, but the darkness hiding behind them. What awaited in the gaping chasm of hidden horrors? Would they emerge changed, or become forever lost within? The moment hung in the air, electric and suffocating. Jamie could feel the dread coiling tighter around her. Marco was still wrestling with the dark tendrils clutching his ankle, but the shadows had a mind of their own, whispering secrets she couldn't quite catch. Jamie. Marco's plea broke through her thoughts, desperation lacing his voice. Hold on. She shouted, tightening her grip on Lily and Angela. The warmth of their hands was a lifeline, a tether to reality. We won't let him take you. With a collective breath, they pressed forward, drowning out the whispers swirling around them. Together, they took a step toward Marco, the light from their clasped hands more brilliant than before. The figure before them twisted, shadows convulsing in rage. Foolish children, it hissed, its voice like ice. You dare challenge the truth? You're only stoking the flames of despair. Jamie felt her heart race. We'll find a way out. All of us. The pledge felt powerful, grounding her against the encroaching fear. They had everything to lose. The shadows tightened around Marco's leg, but they flared briefly in her light, its grip loosening slightly. Don't look down, Marco muttered, his breath quickening. Look up. Angela shouted, urging him, her face set with determination. We're right here. Suddenly, the ground trembled, a deep rumble rising from the abyss that clawed at their feet. Jamie glanced down, the dark expanse roared like a beast waking from slumber. We can't let it win, she urged. With renewed resolve, they closed ranks, channeling their fury and fear into a single point of energy. The glowing orb at their center pulsed like a heartbeat, illuminating the cavern around them. Shadows shrieked and writhed, retreating from the light's raw power, but even as they pushed forward, Jamie felt something shift within. A flicker of doubt ignited behind her eyes. What if the truths are too painful? She wondered, a tightening knot forming in her stomach. Are we ready for what's beneath? The voice echoed again, sinister in its teasing. Can you face what you've kept buried? She fought against the creeping fear, clutching Marco's hand tighter. We're not alone, she shouted, and the light brightened, a beacon in the heart of darkness. In that moment, memories washed over her past failures, moments of shame, and each burden she had tried to forget. The shadows loomed larger, revving like phantoms. You're not enough, Jamie, they jeered. You are the sum of your regrets. No, she cried out, conviction surging through her veins. We define who we are. The ground shook violently again, as if the cavern itself roared in defiance. Marco's ankle slipped free, the tendril recoiling, hissing in defeat. But as the shadows ebbed, something darker shifted in the void below. A figure, a silhouette rising from the depths, grotesque and familiar. A chill gripped her. Is that? Marco's voice trembled, realization igniting fear in his eyes. What is that? Lily backed away, glancing at Jamie for answers. The figure shifted, revealing the outline of someone they all knew, someone who had vanished into the shadows long ago. Their breaths quickened, hearts hammering in their chests as the truth settled in, the light dimmed, flickering like a dying flame. Jamie's stomach dropped. Face it. The figure from the shadows bellowed, looming closer. In this realm, truths are knives. What you hide, I will expose. Run. Angela screamed, but it was too late. The truth had unveiled itself, and the chasm began to close with a rumble, leaving them no option to escape. Dread filled Jamie's veins. They were trapped. Accept it, embrace the truth, or watch everything unravel. The figure taunted, a knowing smile cracking its shadowed face. Desperation clawed at Jamie's throat. Would they succumb to the darkness within their past, or could they shatter the illusion and reclaim their fate? Together. She shouted, fear coursing through her like ice water. We can't lose. Would they band together and face the shadow of their pasts with defiance? Or would the truth entrap them into a fate darker than they dared to imagine? The rumble intensified, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. Jamie felt the walls of the abyss close in, almost suffocating her. Shadows moved like quicksilver, darting in chaotic patterns as if alive, taunting, and twisting reality around them. Don't give in. Marco yelled, his voice strained but unwavering. We can break through this. Break through what? Lily shouted back, panic rising in her voice. It knows everything. How can we escape what's inside us? The figure loomed ever closer, exuding a malevolent aura that threatened to swallow them whole. Each breath Jamie took felt heavier, the air thick with anguish and regret. Her past had taken a physical form, and it didn't come to play, it came to destroy. Hold on to each other. Jamie barked, steeling her resolve. Their linked hands felt warm, illuminated by the specks of light amidst the shadows. But just as quickly, those lights winked, revealing the painful shapes of memories, faces of friends lost and promises broken. The figure laughed, a sound filled with mockery. You think you can confront the past. You think you can rewrite what has been etched in darkness. Foolish. Every step forward is a step closer to your demise. Shut up. Angela shouted defiantly, as though sheer will could banish the figure's influence. She stepped forward, breaking their circle for a moment, as if to spearhead a charge into the heart of the shadows. With an outstretched hand, she pointed right at the figure. You don't own us. We are more than our fears. More. Is that your delusion? It sneered, stepping closer yet. The air grew colder, chilling them to their core. You are nothing. Just children playing at bravery, at facing the truths you fear. The earth trembled again, causing Jamie to lose her balance for a fleeting moment. Their light flickered, and the tendrils of shadow crept back, snaking toward Marco. Jamie could feel his tension, the way his body strained against the weight of their shared fear. No. She shouted, desperation flooding through her. We've come too far to let it take anyone else. The shadows congealed around them as if responding to her fear, dark fingers creeping out of the cracks in the ground like spiders. There was a flash of recognition on Marco's face. It feeds off our doubt. We must confront it, believe in ourselves. The tension in her chest tightened. The whispers shifted, echoing her own self-doubt. But she couldn't let it win. They had to expose the truth, shine the light right where it hurt the most. Together. Jamie rallied, fierce and loud, shocking even herself with the strength in her voice. We're not just voices in the dark. We're not just our mistakes. With every ounce of resolve, she pushed toward the figure, light illuminating the cavern around them, as if calling forth a power that surged within. But the figure drew even nearer, eyes glinting with malice. What will you do when you see what lies beneath? What makes you think you're strong enough to withstand the storm? Jamie stopped, the enormity of the threat pressing down on her like a weight. She could feel her heart pounding a rhythmic drum of fear, hope, and uncertainty. Memories rolled through her mind in rapid succession, failures, betrayals, moments that haunted her, clamoring for her attention. Truths like a knife, she whispered, piecing it together. A knife can cut. But it can also heal. With renewed focus, Jamie strained against the shadows, pulling on the tether of their light. We've got each other. We can face this. She felt the warmth from Marco, Lily, and Angela. Their hands tightened around hers, their energy igniting a spark of hope. As the figure let out a deafening roar, the shadows clashed against their combined light, a violent battle brewing in the heart of fear. Now! She screamed, and with pure will, they pushed back against the darkness, forging ahead with a blinding light, but just as the darkness threatened to crack, the figure's laughter echoed chillingly once more, cutting through their resolve, promising an even deeper truth waiting just beyond the edge. Do you truly know what you face? The worst is yet to come. The shadows rippled wildly, and Jamie felt the light waver, its glowing pulse slowing as darkness closed in again. Terror clawed at her throat. What else could the truth unveil? As the light faded, Jamie fought to keep her grip. There was no turning back now, what lay ahead was far more terrifying than anything behind. Would they emerge victorious from their own hearts, or would they be cast deeper into despair? The darkness closed in, wrapping around them like a suffocating shroud. Jamie fought to keep her breath steady, her pulse racing wildly. She could sense the figure waiting, lurking in the abyssal depths, its eyes glowing with malicious delight. It was baiting them, that much was clear. Every flicker of light seemed to be swallowed by the shadow's insatiable hunger. Hold on. Lily's voice trembled, fear echoing in her words. Jamie could see her face, pale and stricken, lit momentarily by a flash of their fading light. We can't let it take us. It was a battle of wills, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Together, remember? Marco urged, his grip tightening, reassurance flowing through the connection of their hands. We're stronger than this. The laughter from the figure echoed again, sharper this time, as if it thrived on their fear. Oh, how sweet. You think unity will protect you? Become what you despise, and you'll discover the truth of your insignificance. Jamie felt the shadows pulse with dark energy, inching closer, coiling around her legs like icy serpents. Doubt gnawed at her insides. Was there really light within? Could they withstand whatever horrors the figure had in store? She glanced at her friends, a moment of vulnerability woven into their expressions, then she forced herself to stand taller. No! She shouted, raw determination spilling from her throat. We're not nothing. We are not what you say. With newfound fervor, she concentrated on the warmth of their joined hands, envisioning the light within growing brighter. The memories and failures that had haunted her began to shift, becoming moments of lessons learned and strength gained instead. Hope flickered and ignited, illuminating the shadows in a brilliant cascade. The laughter stopped, abruptly, replaced by a silence that hung in the air like a thick blanket. Their light surged ahead, illuminating twisted shapes emerging from the depths, remnants of their past intertwining with the shadows. There were flickers of the faces they had lost, images of missed opportunities, specters of regrets that haunted each of them. See? The figure hissed in a low growl, as if it drew strength from their unveiled pain. This is what you run from. This is what you wish to erase. A wave of despair crashed over Jamie, threatening to drag her down. But in that moment, she remembered the jokes shared with Marco, the secrets whispered with Lily, the courage Angela showed every day. They hadn't just survived their mistakes, they built something powerful together. We choose to face this. Jamie yelled, pulling the memories close, transforming their weight into a shield. We are the light that cuts through darkness. With a synchrony that felt almost mystical, they pushed outward, the warmth from their hands radiating into the cavern, battling the looming figure and its chilling promises. The shadow shrieked, a sound that roared through the air like claws on glass, a hair-raising torrent threatening to drown them in terror. You think you've won? The depths of your own darkness are only beginning. As their light grew fiercer, the shadows spiraled, writhing and clawing back, but the figure remained, tenacious and relentless. You're unraveling, and when the final truth reveals itself, you won't have the fortitude to remain. Jamie felt herself waver, a seed of doubt creeping back in. What could be worse than the torment they already faced? The ground quaked beneath them, a violent tremor pulling them downwards into the black, grappling at their limbs like the very embodiment of despair. They fought harder, knowing that whatever truth awaited them, they would have to be willing to withstand it together, but just as it seemed they were gaining ground, shadows engulfed the light. Jamie screamed, feeling her voice drown under the torrent of darkness swallowing her hold. In that moment, clarity washed over her. We need to dig deeper than ever before. As the void threatened again, Jamie's heart raced, and she grasped for the pieces of hope scattered around her. Who would perish in the depths of their own fears? Would the darkness consume them once and for all, or could they reveal a strength even they hadn't expected? The shadows shrieked, clawing at Jamie and her friends as they stood entwined, linked not just by fear but by something far more potent: trust. Jamie forced herself to take a deep breath, feeling the warmth of their hands pulsing despite the chill that surrounded them. We are stronger together. She shouted, pouring every ounce of her resolve into those words. The echoes of their past failures surged in her mind, a haunting tune, but Jamie turned those ghosts into melodies of strength. Reflected in the darkness were the faces of those they had loved, the bonds they had built. This is not our end, she declared, and the light between them brightened, a shield against the malevolence waiting to pounce. The figure before them seemed to waver, caught between malice and confusion. You think defiance will save you? You cannot escape what you truly are. It hissed, but Jamie could see the uncertainty flickering in its eyes, just as doubt began to creep again into her heart. What if it's true? A small voice quailed within her, but she pushed it down hard. No, she whispered fiercely. We've faced our truths. Facing them together gives us the power to break their hold. Lily stirred, voice combining with Jamie's as she leaned into the light. We are not just mistakes. We are choices, moments, and growth. With renewed strength, Jamie looked at Marco and Angela, their expressions aligning with her conviction. "Let us finish this." They shouted in unison. Electric energy sparked between them, a warm pulse that shot forward against the shadows. Raw power surged, forcing shadows to retreat as their collective courage grew. "Bring it on. Show us what you have." Jamie yelled, every fiber of her being igniting with defiant light. Then, the ground beneath them trembled violently, and the abyss roared, but they remained resolute, the light burning brilliantly as shadows recoiled. The creature's resolve cracked. "No. You can't face the truth. I will show you your ultimate fear." Suddenly, the cavern darkened even further, and the figure transformed, morphing into manifestations of their worst nightmares. Memories of their own failings, betrayals, lost opportunities clawed at them. Jamie was flooded with visions, moments of regret that had once chained her heart. It railed against her sanity, threatening to pull her into a suffocating abyss of despair, but with their hands tight around each other, Jamie summoned her strength. "I want to run. I want to hide," she cried, defiance flavoring her voice. They pressed forward, hearts beating as one, pulling strength from shared histories and newfound resolve. Together. Angela echoed, their light surging forward in waves of brilliance, flooding the shadows. "You are nothing but a trick." In that moment, Jamie could see the fraying seams of the dark figure stretching, unraveling under the weight of their unity. Desperation colored its tone. "You'll pay for this." It shrieked, the last stand of a stalker caught in its own snare, yet, rather than fear, anger surged through Jamie, a fierce, righteous fury. "No. We are writing our own story. This is our right. You won't manipulate us any longer." The shadows rolled back, shrieking like wind caught in a storm, but in their wake, clarity emerged. The creature's eyes were now wide with dread. The truth about who they were clawed forward, and in that intensity, Jamie heard the truth ring clear: we are our choices. We choose to step into the daylight. With that, they pushed forward as one, light exploding from the core of their united front. Jamie felt freedom rushing toward her, lifting the heavy burdens confining her spirit, and as the last semblance of darkness began to splinter beneath their resolve, the cavern shook once more, this time, not due to fear, but to liberation. Light erupted, capacitating the darkness, its tendrils wilting under the brightness of truth. Jamie gasped, blinded momentarily, but as she opened her eyes, they found themselves back at the church, standing firm on the steps, heart racing. She looked at her friends, all of them shaken but alive, their bond unyielded by shadows. "We did it," she whispered, disbelief mingling with relief. Angela nodded, tears pooling at the corners of her eyes. "What happened?" "We faced the truth together. We owned our darkness, and that's where our power lies," Jamie said, voice quaking, weakened but unbroken. In that moment, they understood the shadows of Maplewood could no longer dictate their lives. Each unsolved disappearance and every faint whisper would no longer govern them. They had reclaimed their power, wresting it from darkness with fearless hearts. As they stepped down from the church's entrance, breaths intertwining, they could smell a new dawn, one brightened by hope, by strength, and a commitment to never let fear dictate their lives again. They would share their story, illuminating the lost and forgotten once more. With the darkness behind them, the light beckoned them forward. "Let us go home," Jamie said quietly, uncertainty turning to courage as the sun broke the horizon, a promise for Maplewood's future shining bright. This is not just a new chapter for them, it is a new beginning for all. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, showing your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. Let us talk about what made you gasp, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans understand the importance of sharing the journey. Join the excitement and keep the conversation alive.